Hi, hope you're all doing well. I got a message. Hey Stu, I'm always really impressed with your low end. Any chance of a video showing how you do it? First of all, thanks for the message. I really appreciate it when people reach out like this. So today, let's mix some low end. Low end, or more importantly, great low end. I learned this a few years ago and I've used it pretty much on every mix since. What is low end? Well, for me, it is bass drum and bass guitar. That's it. Nothing else should be sticking out in the low end. The only exception to that is sometimes a low drone synth, but even then, you want it low in the mix. Okay, so let's look at the kick drum first. On this song, I have a kick in and a kick out. The kick in gives me the snap of the drum, and the kick out gives me the thump. So let's get that level right before going any further. Okay, so the kick in sounds like this. And the kick out sounds like this. So what I like to do, I like to bring them both all the way. I use the trim gain, bring it down, and then I like to do the thump first. And then once you've got that level, and then bring the snap in. Probably no more than that, to be fair. Okay, so I'm going to get the rest of the levels on the drums and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've done all the levels on the drums. The only thing that I had to add on the snare drum, I put a EQ on there just to tame a couple of the tones that I was hearing in there. So without that snare drum, it's just on the snare top, sound like this. And then the EQ that I put on it there, just a couple of cuts and one slight boost. So I'll do before and after on that. So not a night and day difference, but just help it come out in the mix. Right, so the drums by themselves now sound like this. Bear in mind that this is unmixed, it's just levels that we've done here. Okay, so the next thing on the low end we're going to play with is the bass. Now the way I record the bass is I do a bass amp and a DI track at the same time. So we've got your two tracks and the bass amp on its own sounds like this. Got a little bit of grit there, but it also sounds a little bit muddy, to be fair. DI sounds like this. Now here's the thing. We're going to get all our low end from that DI track, not the amp. The amp's going to be mids and the uppers. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to add an EQ. I just use the stock EQ for that. And on the DI track, we're going to put a low pass filter on, and we're going to do it at 140 hertz. It's got a nice, rich low end to it, but it's also a consistent level. And then on the amp, we're going to add another EQ. This time we're going to put a high pass filter on it at 140 hertz. still got the grit to it, but it's got no low end in that at all. And then what we do, again, using the input gain, knock them down all the way, turn the drums on, bring up the level of the DI track, which is the low end. Much the same as we did with the kick out and the kick in, really. Okay, so we've got nice low end there, but let's bring those mids up, and I'm going to solo it for this. Okay, and then bring it in with the drums. And that is the basis of getting the low end right. Okay, so how do you get the level right between the kick drum and the bass guitar? Using a VU meter. I've got it set up as an effects send. I've got the output turned down so nothing goes out to the main speaker. I've got it on the 18 scale. Sensitivity is about, what would you say, 5 o'clock? About 5 o'clock. And then I've got a mix tool above it for volume. And then on the drums, I've got my sends, both of them turned all the way up. We want the kick drum, we want it to land on 0. So this is why we have the mix tool in there, so we can adjust it to get it to 0. Every time the kick goes, the needles are around the 0 mark. And when we bring the bass in, we want every time the kick goes, it to hit about +3. And that way, you might have to do minor tweaks and adjustments, but overall, that will work on 95% of every song you do. Okay, so I'm going to get all the levels for the rest of the song done, and then we'll have a listen to it, see what it sounds like.
Climbing, I got to turn away to see.
Yeah, like that. Okay, and remember I said earlier, nothing else should go in the low end, so we can check, make sure nothing else is taken over. So I'll put up an EQ so that we can see. Yes, there's a little bit of low end rumble there. We could take that out with a high pass filter, but if you have a look at the level, it's around about -30, -24, was it? piano. The level is so low that you can put a high pass filter on it. Does it even need it? Now, what I like to do here is I will actually put an EQ on the master bus. I will my go-to is the SPL PQ, and I've got preset frequencies which are pretty much the go-to ones, which I learned from Colt Caparoon.
Of this night.
And already with just that one EQ, the song sounds so much better. It just brings that low end out, just having that EQ on there. And what do? When we boosted the low end by 2 dB, and then the lower mids we actually cut by 2 dB. Right, EQ wise, on the drums, something like this is going to be nice and simple. We're going to put a channel strip on it, and we're going to probably use a classic comp. Going to turn that acoustic down a little bit. Okay, so EQ wise, on a song like this, it's going to be really simple. And then the bass, we're going to put a little bit of compression on there, and I'm going to use the LA2A. Now, we've already done levels, so we're not looking to change the level here. We're just putting a little bit of coloration in there. And then I reckon on EQ, we keep it quite simple as well. We'll just use this 4-band EQ again. Okay, so I'm boosting at 220 a little bit, probably about 2 dB. And then the lower mids, we're going to do a bit of a cut on it. That's it. 2 dB boost at 220. At 360, we did a 4 dB cut. And at 4.8 kilohertz, we did nearly a 5 dB boost. And that is my low end sorted. I don't think there's anything more I need to say on that. Yes, there's probably a few little tweaks here and there that I would do, but not a lot. It doesn't have to be complicated. Now, if you've only got one track, say you've only got the DI track, I would in that case duplicate it, and then one would be dedicated to low end. So putting that low pass filter on 140 hertz. And then the other would be high pass filter, 140 hertz, but I'd also put a bit of saturation on this second one. Just use red light. And then exactly the same rules apply. Get your low end done, levels up first.
Moonlight to help me.
Just remember, with bass, don't be afraid to make it dirty. Make it really disgustingly dirty. But if you can, do it on the mids and high end rather than the low end. Try and keep your low end nice and clean. Well, I hope this has helped. And once again, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. And I look forward to catching you on the next one. If you've got any questions or anything like that, drop them in the comments below. And I'll see you all later. All right, bye.